is the doer. The subject is the doer of the action, is a performer of the action. The agent is a subject, is a doer, is a performer of action, is the one that carries out action. So there is a rule in English that states when the subject is singular, the verb that we follow is singular. When the subject is plural, the verb that we follow will be plural. All right? And I told you that there are instances where this law, where this rule, and gave example. All right? We said we cannot say I has a pen. We can only say in English, I have a pen. All right? They have a pen. We have a pen, and all of that. And so in the exam you're going to write, in this forthcoming JAM, under the lexis and structure aspect, there is something I'm going to do for you as this class go on. All right? Later on, by the time we exhaust some of the topics, cogent topics we have to treat, I'm going to treat with you word classes and their usage errors, because I understand as a tutor of English where students make that mistake. You know, when we started this class, I told you that there is what is known as British English, American English, and Nigerian English. Oftentimes, as students who are learners of English, the type of English expression you use to communicate, to engage in conversation on daily basis is actually the Nigerian English version. And your examiner understands, the people who are going to set the JAM question understand that you speak Nigerian English. All right? So because you speak the Nigerian version of English, when the British version of English is posted to you, is given to you as a question, you may end up not selecting it or not choosing that option. You get now? So I'm going to take my time out. I'm going to give you the usage errors, the errors you make every day. And it's going to surprise you that seriously, so I've been speaking in English in this way, and I don't know that what I'm saying is incorrect. What you say may be correct in Nigerian English, but is incorrect in British or American English. Of course, in this instance is the British English, all right, that we are expected to use. You and I are meant in every examination to use the British English expression. You can use the Nigerian English expression for your local conversation and engagement, interactions on daily basis. But when it comes to examinations such as JAM, WAEC, IELTS, and every other official exam and engagement, you are expected to pick the British English expression. The British English idiom is different, all right? The British English figure of speech is different. It has its own meaning, different from that of Nigeria. And so by the time we start off with that topic, you're going to see massive example, copious examples, expressions that you have been using every day that you never knew that, oh, it's incorrect for a student who is a learner of English to speak this way. Okay, so here we'll be talking about usage of subject-verb agreement with examples. In our previous class, we talked about a lot of examples. This one as well, there are so many other examples. The reason I'm giving you these examples is that you're going to come across different questions, variety of questions, right? And those questions are not going to come like baby's question. They are coming as standard questions that unless you study hard, you do something extra, you do something very profound, you may not be able to get the answers to those questions. So that's the reason I normally tell you that after class, take what you have been taught and go study more regarding that. Okay? Now, basically, as you can see on the slide, most subjects accept third person singular. Use the standard form, singular use of the standard form, all right, of the verb in the present tense format. Look at this example. The dogs roll in the mud. The dogs roll in the mud. You can see that the dogs, all right, the dogs here is Bowden, right? This is the performer. This is the subject. This is the doer of action. This is the agent. So the dog rolls in the mud. Now, I told you something on Monday that when a verb, listen again, when a verb accepts S in it, when a verb accepts an S, when you see S attached to a verb, that verb is singular. But a verb without an S is plural. That is what I'm trying to explain to you here by saying that the dogs in plural, okay, roll in the mud. I cannot say rolls in the mud. The dog rolls in the mud. No, right? Because there is no S in this verb. That is what makes the verb plural. And the noun here is also plural. I need to catch my breath. You look like a celebrity. You look like a celebrity. Remember that you here is in the third person position. Okay? You here is in the third person position. Because when you say you, you're not actually referring to anybody in particular. If I come to the class and say, you, stand up, who is going to stand up? Who is going to stand up? Nobody. The moment you hear me say this, you, or give this command, you, stand up, nobody is going to stand. What everyone will do is to be looking at each other. Who is he referring to? Who is he talking about? All right? Who is he talking about? Because you is a third person pronoun. A third person now in the third person position in the classification of things. All right? So we say you, look up. If I say you, look up, I'm not referring to anybody in particular. Right? These are more examples. The dog rolls in the mud. All right? She needs to catch her breath. If I say she needs to catch her breath, remember, I've not mentioned anybody's name. He looks like a celebrity. I've not mentioned anybody's name. But I could come and say, Janet needs to catch her breath. Her. When I come to the class and I said, Janet needs to catch her breath. If there's a Janet in the class, of course, she will know I'm referring to her. If I say, Michael looks like a celebrity, if there's a Michael in the class, Michael, of course, will be blushing. The tutor says I look like a celebrity. And of course, he will start thinking like a celebrity if actually he wants to become a celebrity, right? So he, she, and the dog are all nouns. They are all the subject. They are all the agent. They are all the doer, the performer of the action. Now look at the verbs that are there. This verb looks, all right, agrees with the noun he. I cannot say he looked like a celebrity. No, that's a wrong English expression. I cannot say she needs to catch her breath. She needs to catch her breath, right? I cannot say the dogs rose in the mud, all right? Where the verb here is singular. The verb here, you can see the verb I'm pointing at. This verb here is singular. That's the reason you see the noun here is also singular. So take note of these tricky and intricate little things. I normally call these little foxes that lead to failure in English. If you neglect this, it could lead to serious problem. If you don't take note of these little things, that when a verb has an S, that verb is in the singular position. When a verb does not take an S, it's in the plural position. And you need it requires the accompaniment. It requires a company of a singular verb, a singular noun, or a plural noun. So these are things I need you to take note of. I know that after this class, you're going to get this slide. Sit down, go through the examples one after the other. Go through the examples, right? Go through the examples one after the other. When words end in a particular vowel sound, they accept some attachment. Either we classify them as being plural or singular. All right, look at this example I've given here. Our father eats with the ferocity of a tiger. Our father eats. Now, I told you something. I mentioned when we were talking about tenses, I talked about present tense, past tense, present continuous, all right, past participle, future tense, okay, past perfect tense. Those tense are there. Now, when you look at this example, our father, you know, is plural, father, singular, eats. Now, this eats, E-A-T-S, what sort of verb is this? If I take off the S and I say, our father, let me see, look at, if I take away the S, you can see that I've deleted the S from it. It's now reading, our father eats with the ferocity of a tiger. How does it sound in your ear? All right? How does it sound? Without the S in this word, the verb eat becomes plural. And the noun that is coming before it is a singular noun. All right? So how do you deal with that? All right? How do you deal with that? So our father eats with the ferocity of a tiger. So we return our S to it. All right? Why does the verb be have so many exceptions? The most common verb in English, be, doesn't just represent a general state of existence. It's also an auxiliary verb necessary for the continuous tense. You know, I mentioned it, right? I mentioned it, that there are auxiliary verbs starting with be, is, are, was, were, has, have, had. These are all auxiliary verbs, helping verbs. But in particular, this verb be, all right, there are so many exceptions to the rules and the guidelines that accompanies concord in English. Okay, so if I say she has been eating, she has been eating, can you see has and she, and I'm using the verb be, been eating, B-E-I-N-G. A lot of time you misunderstand the difference between B-E-I-N-G and B-E-E-N. They are not the same. One, B-E-I-N-G, is a continuous tense verb, whereas B-E-E-N is a past participle form. So when you speak in English, try to use these verbs differently, all right? Because their meanings are never the same. Their meanings are never the same. In English, be is the only verb that changes based on the person. If you are using the verb be alone as part of a continuous tense, the subject-verb agreement rules require that you match both the number and the person. All right? And here is a quick reminder of how to conjugate, how to join be in the singular and plural person. Look at this example. Okay? In the first person, you say, I am. In the plural, you say, we. All right? I am a man. We are students. All right? We cannot say, I am students. No. In the second person, we say, you are a student. And in the plural form, we say, you are students. All right? You are a student. A student. No S. It's not pluralized. You are students. You are students. Therefore, you have to be studious. You are students. Therefore, you have to be serious with your studies. In the third person, we say he, she, it. All right? He is a student. She is a student. It is a book. All right? They are students. In the plural, they are students. All right? They are students. So you can see the auxiliary verbs working here. Am, are, is, right? They are all active here. Okay, so let's move on. Considering how frequently be is used in English, it's best to memorize this chart, the chart I've given to you. All right, look at this example. You are always welcome in our home. You are always welcome in our home. Why should someone say this? All right, before someone can use this expression, you are always welcome in our home, it means the person, right? The person that is being spoken to is known already. If I say you are always welcome in our home, it means I know you already. I cannot see a random person on the street and start telling them you are always welcome in our home. No. It's somebody that is known to the speaker already that this is useful. I am running a marathon tomorrow. I am running a marathon tomorrow. Tomorrow has not come, but I'm saying it futuristically. It is raining even though it is sunny. All right? These are all examples that you can see. They will be here tomorrow. He will be here tomorrow. The potatoes grew overnight. The potato grew overnight. I need you to take note of what's happening here. The potatoes grew overnight. You can see potatoes, which is the subject, which is the agent, which is the actor, which is the noun, is plural. Now look at the verb that follows it. This verb grew is also what? Plural. Now look at this other example. The potato, all right, grew overnight. What difference can you see in the potatoes grew overnight and the potato grew overnight? What difference can you see in the two sentences? Potato here, all right? You can see potato here is singular. Now look at this. Grew. Is it singular verb or a plural verb? That gives you just the example that I gave, that there are cases where the rules are not absolute, right? The rules of Concord are not absolute, but in many cases, the rules are absolute. You must follow the rule. You must follow the rule. It's a must that you follow the rule, all right? I've also explained it here that the only exception is this, all right? That is the only exception. The example I gave to you is one of the exceptions to the rule. Now look at this example. I was young once. We were young once. Can you see? I was young once. We were young once. I cannot say we was young once. We was young once. When you hear me talk that way or speak English in that manner, you wouldn't want to listen to me. And I'm very much happy that I'm going to teach you this thing, usage error. When you look at the JAM question, JAM use of English, all right, English in JAM, it says JAM use of English. So it's actually the use, all right, is the use of English as a tool that is important. I will teach you the use. I will teach you the errors you've been committing and how not to commit it anymore. Okay? So we are going to do that. The errors you've been committing and how not to commit it anymore. But let's look at these examples on the board. Let's look at it. Say, fill out the blank spaces with the correct forms of the verb. Amadi has never dashed late to service. What are we going to write here? Are we going to say Amadi has never came late to service? Amadi has never come late to service. Or Amadi has never been late to service. You determine. All right? Look at the next one. One of the men who often dash here, dash dead. Are we going to say one of the men who often come here is dead? Or one of the men who often came? When you succeed in inserting the correct verbs in each of the spaces, you read it to yourself. How does this sound? Is it grammatical? All right. Is it grammatical? If it's grammatical, does it have meaning? His mother, together with his sister, dash in the bakery. Now look at this. His mother, together with his sisters, should I say works in the bakery or work in the bakery? Remember, there are two subjects here, all right? And there is a rule of Concord that said that when two subjects are involved, you should use the last subject to determine the verb that will follow, all right? His mother, one subject, one agent, together with his sisters, all right? His sisters, in plural. So you should determine what verb should follow. When you have a list of subjects, I can have his mother, comma, his father, comma, his friend, comma, his aunt, with his sisters, in plural. So because the last noun or pronoun in the list is plural, the verb that is going to follow must also be plural. When in the list, the last item in the list is singular, the verb that is going to follow is going to be singular. For instance, if I say his brothers, aunties, uncles, and friend, all right? I've mentioned his brothers, I've mentioned his aunties, I've mentioned his uncles, in all of them in plural. Then the last item I mentioned is in singular form, friends. That friend rather, is going to accept a singular verb. Is here, is in the bakery. Okay? Clement and his friend dash games. He dashed a lot of reading every day. A meal of rice and plantain dash what we want. Either his brother or his cousins dash him advice. Right? Dash him advice. Okay? So look at another example. Neither sport nor academic studies dash easy. All right? Neither sport No. Academic studies, should we say are easy or is easy? The Board of Governors dash met. The Board of Governors, should we say have met or has met? Remember, a plural noun or pronoun accepts a plural verb. A singular noun or pronoun must go with a singular verb in English. But in some cases, the rules are different, especially when the verb be is involved, right? The be have a lot of other auxiliary verbs which it produces. Example is, was, right? Were, has, have, do, are. These are all auxiliary verbs. Also being, B-I-N-G, right? B-I-N-G. So take note of that. The Board of Governors has met. The Board of Governors have met. Okay? So you see, there are only two verbs, one that can fit in there, has and have. So think carefully before inserting your answer. My friend and confidant dash in Lagos. Should we say my friend and confidant lives in Lagos or live in Lagos? Or work in Lagos? Or we should say works in Lagos. My friend and confidant live in Lagos. My friend and confidant lives in Lagos. My friend and confidant work in Lagos. My friend and confidant work in Lagos. The next one, we dash past the spot before we notice the wrecked car. All right? We walked, W-A-L-K-E-D. We walked past the spot before we notice the wrecked car, or we walk. All right? Some students will say, we go past. You know, some colloquial English expressions, right? There are aspects of English expression referred to as colloquial. You don't need to go into the example with the notion of colloquial expressions. And that's the reason for these classes we are engaging, we are taking, right? Where we'll take our time to explain some of the rules. As I told you, English is rule governed. So many rules involved when it comes to the use of English. Okay? When you understand these rules and you apply them every day, you become good at them. I'll repeat what I said before. We are going to treat word classes again. It's going to be a summary. All right? Word class and usage error. Word classes and usage error. The usage errors, the errors you commit. I'll teach you how you have been using preposition, all right, in the wrong way. And you attach it to some verbs in English. Example, when you say, because it's part of what we are treating, it's part of this topic. When you say, I ordered for a ride, all right? I ordered for Uber. I ordered for Taxify. I ordered for, no, that verb, order, does not accept the preposition for in English. So the right answer is, I ordered Uber. I ordered a ride. All right. Another typical example, popular, very popular among students, is this expression. I requested for more explanation. I requested for his visit. I requested for. That verb, requested, that verb does not accept a preposition. in standard English. It doesn't. All right. But in Nigeria, we use it. I requested for this. I requested for that. You only request. I requested him to come. I requested her to come. I requested more paper. I requested money from my dad. You don't request for money. All right. And demand as well. I demanded for explanation. No, you only demanded explanation. Okay? You only demanded explanation. You don't demand for. Also, the verb advocate. All right? The verb contest. Not contest. Contest. Right? And so many other verbs in English. All right? So when we